insights, I want the bets from Betting Weekly. Because we win, that is our motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the bad, don't give us your stink eye. Try our best, and we're successful. Come watch our show, bet with the sponsors. It's time to start, enjoy the show.
Welcome everyone to Betting Weekly Live. It is Tuesday, the 13th of May. You're with Steve Wiss and Jack Wright today. How is everyone doing? Jack Wright, I hope you had a really good weekend, and I hope you had a better betting Monday than I did. It wasn't a great Monday for me, sadly. How was yours?
Yes, it was okay. Yeah. So I'm trying to. It feels like a long while ago. I've been stuck so much into Tuesday. I've nearly forgotten what Monday was about. But yeah, the playoffs were okay for me. A couple of near misses, which would have been a really good one. But yeah, generally speaking, it kind of went fairly according to plan. And I must admit, I got very fortunate. I had cards in the early game in Serie A. Over 4.5 cards. There was none after 83 minutes, and there was 5 in the final 10 minutes. Yeah.
What?
So yeah.
Imagine if you're on the under there. You cash in your ticket.
That would have been a horrific beat. It would have been a horrific beat, and my heart, if I had one, would be bleeding for you now. But I was on the right side of it. So this is what we always talk about, isn't it? Like, don't get too downhearted. These things are swings and roundabouts, and you don't tend to get too focused on the happy last minute cards, goals, and so on and so forth that go your way, rather than beat yourself up over the fact that, say, if you're on an under there, that would have been a tough one to sleep off.
Yeah, Atalanta didn't do me very well. They're a team I can never get right. I think they're one of the hardest teams to predict in Europe, actually. Never saw them beating Roma last night at all. A goalkeeping cock-up cost me in a Swedish game. I hate goalkeepers who do that to me. It's nothing worse, is there? If you're I wasn't on an under, but if you're on an under, you can guarantee a goalkeeper will do something to make you get angry. But the playoff game, I was all right with that. I took a bit of Lewis's advice on the Harmer to score anytime. He is by far the best player in that squad. But welcome in, everyone. Disky, good to see you. Uber Mensch is saying fade Sociedad, fade Coventry. That's his plays today. He's going to stay away from the Girona and Sevilla matches. Morning to Rick Haley from Canada. Daniel Lucani as well. Great to see you. Duncan Evans, Ming Chung. Villa fan, how are you doing, mate? How's things? Are you confident that Villa can get into the Champions League places before the rest of the season? And Meninda, the Serie A didn't really treat me that well yesterday at all. Even I got the 1 or 2 player props came in, but I missed on most of them. Foxy as well. Rick the Brick, good to see you from Canada too. Plenty to discuss. We've got a midweek La Liga card. We've got the Championship semi-final second leg. It's Sunderland against Coventry. We're going to get Jack Wright's thoughts on the rest of the playoffs in the EFL. So League One, League Two. There might be a little bit more love for Charlton later. Watch this space.
I believe Duncan, who's in the chat, I can see there, is a Wickham fan. So hopefully you'll stay with us, Duncan.
You can let us know what you think about the playoffs, how it's going to go. Yesterday, I'm just going through some of the big bets. 30,000, Warriors plus 4.5 against the Timberwolves. That was a loser. That was the biggest bet yesterday on the sportsbook. Biggest winner yesterday was $20,000 on the Knicks plus 5.5 against the Celtics. That was a winner. Those Celtics, again, blowing a big lead in the playoffs. Money line, someone backed the Knicks on the money line at $500 at plus 800. The Celtics just keep blowing the leads. In terms of the soccer, it wasn't actually that many big winners and losers yesterday in the soccer, thankfully, actually, because I kind of feared a bit of a bloodbath. But unfortunately, $5,500 was lost on Venezia versus Fiorentina under 2.5 goals. One of the very few Venezia games to go over 2.5 this season. So it felt like a bad beat, and it didn't surprise me there was another significant loser. On the Roma draw double chance against Atalanta, I don't know anyone who backed Atalanta yesterday. There was no real case to oppose Roma. at the prices. So, but if you did back Atalanta, well done to you. Villa fan says he's confident. They do have two very nice remaining fixtures, I must say. Should be. Loss for Villa, 2 wins out of 2. And Coventry, we are going to talk about them soon. Roffo, they did kind of fool us all. Well, not fool us all, but we didn't get the result we wanted on Friday about it. And Duncan thinks that Charlton are a bet. Again, we will definitely talk about that later. Stay tuned for the Coventry fixture, but there are 2 La Liga games that kick off before the Coventry fixture, and the first of those is Valladolid against Girona. Midweek La Liga card, really late in the season for a full midweek round, I must say, Jack. I think they do it every year off the top of my head, so I don't think it's unusual, but for me, this is really late in the year for a full midweek round. And Valladolid, the worst side in La Liga by a million miles. The form of both teams is horrendous. I mean, let's just go through it here. Valladolid were plus 350 to win. They haven't won any of the last 16 La Liga games. They've lost 15 of those, had a draw against Las Palmas in that period. Girona have won 1 out of 13 games, and they're minus 139. I mean, just to state the obvious here, because of Valladolid, because of how bad they are, I know Girona have lacked victories, but is that minus 139 on Girona just an automatic bet at this stage of the season when we factor in motivation and stuff like that?
Oh, mate, I can't be taking Girona at minus 139 at the moment. They might well win it, but I wouldn't want to be paying to find out if they're going to be able to turn up and win there. This reminds me a little bit of the Premier League when Leicester played Southampton to a certain degree, and like those kind of games. There's these top leagues have seen some awful efforts from those sides at the bottom, haven't they? And probably none worse than Valladolid, to be fair. That's been horrendous. So could I back them at plus 350? No, but that minus 139, no, not for me. It wouldn't feel right to be backing a side that have 1 win in 13 at that kind of money. I don't know about you. How do you feel about it?
I think Girona will win, right? Am I going to back them at minus 139? No, but I am going to back them to win and both teams score, yes, plus 225. Basically, Girona to win, not to nil. I just think this is a bit of value because Valladolid, for as bad as they've been, they've actually scuppered quite a few handicap backers who have been opposing them. There's been some massive caps on Valladolid recently. And, they did get beaten well by Betis 5-1. But apart from that, they've actually covered the main handicap in 4 of the last 5 games. They've scored in all their last 5 games. They're kind of going down. They're not going down swinging because they're miles bottom, but they're just trying to enjoy themselves, I think. Play with freedom, play without pressure. There might be players out there wanting to try and get a summer move, in the window, put themselves in that shop window as such. Am I right in thinking that Michel, the Girona manager's not going to be at the game? Has he been hospitalised? Is that right? Have I read that report right? He's got took ill. It is. Well, there's a lot to discuss about managers today. And this could be potentially an emotional game for Girona. We know he's not been in the best of health. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know the name of the assistant who would take charge of the game for Girona here. But the players in this sort of situation, it has been known to be mostly, I would say, positive rather than negative down the years. It can destabilise a team, but everyone knows what they've got to do here. I mean, irrelevant of who's on the sidelines, Girona, the last 2 games, I mean, they've got Atletico Madrid in one of them. You can't guarantee they're going to get points in that. This is the best chance they've got to get 3 points before the end of the season. I totally get why some people would back them to win on the nose here. I mean, I wouldn't be for me, like I said, but I do think to win and both teams score, yes, is some value at plus 225. Valladolid, I think, will score, or they're capable of scoring if they can be bothered. I mean, you going into the fouls market here. Well, that says a lot, doesn't it? That says a lot about my confidence levels on all the main lines here, that I'm even avoiding the shots on target, and I've gone straight into the fouls in a game which could be a bit of a dust up, to be fair, at the bottom. Yangel Herrera is the guy I've pinpointed. Over 1.5 fouls is the line I've taken at minus 136, so even that is not the most attractive proposition, but it looks solid enough to me. 22 fouls in his last 8 road trips, and he's had 2 or more fouls in all of those.
So for me, in a game where, as you say, this is a massive game for them, you'd expect their midfield players to get stuck in, assert the game, look to take it, and that would involve some fouls. So as has been the case across his last 8 road trips. So yeah, that's the one for me. And Yangel Herrera over 1.5 fouls at -136 for Bet Rivers.
Yeah, I think in terms of the Michel situation, I don't actually know if he's going to be on the sidelines today, but I think he is much better than he was. We know he's had some health issues, and in a press conference yesterday, he did, thank everyone for his support and everything like that. I think the squad will probably galvanise around him, but fundamentally, they're just a better team than Valladolid. I know Girona only won one of the last 13. This was a team in the Champions League this season.
It's mad, isn't it? It's been a massive fall from them. So, yeah.
They should win the game. I think a win. I think 2-1, 3-1 Girona is worth a go here. I am going to nibble plus 225. Both teams score, yes, and Girona to win. And you're right, in the midfield, there could be some players getting stuck in. Let's go through the comments here. Foxy's definitely not liking this Girona side. He reckons they've been as terrible as Valladolid. I don't know. I mean, not result. I mean, they have better results than Valladolid. I mean, they might have played as bad, perhaps. I don't know if there's any Girona fans out there. Valladolid have been playing a bit better since their relegation was confirmed. They've had some tough fixtures, in fairness to them, as well. But I mean, I think they'll have a go here, and just like I say, play with a bit of freedom. The second Spanish game, actually, before we do the second Spanish game, just a split here. There is 97% of the money on Girona money line. As I said, that wouldn't be for you, Jack, would it, at those prices? No. The money on the over-under is much more split, just 59% of the money on the over-under market here. There's been a 4-figure bet on Girona under 6.5 total corners, which is an interesting one. I can't say I looked at the corner angle in this particular game, but good luck to anyone who is playing that market.
Yes.
The second game on La Liga today, Real Sociedad against Celta Vigo. And I mean, for me, I think there's real value on the visitors here. And I know you agree with me, Jack. Real Sociedad both teams can still qualify for Europe. Celta Vigo are in the European spots. Real Sociedad have just struggled of late, no win in 5 games. I'll let you take the lead here, but just before that, there's a really big stat for me about Real Sociedad, which is interesting. This is going to be their 29th game of 2025, since the 5th of January. And that is a game every 4.37 days. And I feel in the last month or so, whenever I've watched them, certain games in particular, they've just had a real tired look about them. And I can see why with that amount of fixtures. They haven't got a squad like, the top 4 who can rest and rotate day in, day out. And I do think that is a factor. Yet they're plus 132 here. I mean, they are the favourites. They're at home. They do play better at home. But Celta Vigo plus 210. The tie's plus 225. Over 2.5 goals is even money. And we know Celta Vigo matches have been ripe for goals this season. Take it away here, Jack, because I really like these 2 plays that you've got as well.
Okay, good. That's good to hear. Sociedad, they have fallen off a cliff, haven't they? No win in 5 now in the La Liga. 4-0 thumping at the weekend as well. Failed scoring 4 of those 5, which is not good for the bet I'm actually going to suggest here. But I feel that if you've got a side that you want to come, one of the better sides, certainly, you want to play at home. Vigo is one of those. They've only won 3 La Liga games on the road all season. But I'm feeling this could well be goals. I think a couple of comments have already said that with this quick turnaround, we might well see defences feeling a little bit tired and it could lead to goals. I do fancy that to be the case here. So Vigo have only won 3 wins of their 17 road games in La Liga, but they have scored in each of their last 9 on the road. And the key thing here, if you want to support Sociedad, is that they've only kept 2 clean sheets on the road all season. And who do those come against? The bottom 2. So we've already talked about one of those, and Las Palmas being the other. That's not no massive achievement to be able to keep those two out. So I've landed on both teams to score at -127, but I certainly wouldn't put anyone off because this is a real kind of must-win fixture to suggest for both these sides. Really, over 2.5 goals is a nice play. I think at plus money, plus 104. So whichever floats your boat on that one. If you do think Real Sociedad have completely fallen off the cliff and Vigo can take advantage of that, then yeah, go with the plus money of over 2.5. But I just feel the fact that Vigo do concede pretty much every single road game, I would be going with the both teams to score here at minus 127. So yeah, that's that angle. I don't know if you want to take it on from there. I've obviously got a player prop to finish with.
Yeah, I think my best bet for the game, in fact, my best bet of the entire day, is over 2.5 goals here. Plus, plus 104 now, plus 100 with Bet Rivers right now.
Okay.
Which I think that's silly price. I mean, I've actually backed some overs in Real Sociedad matches in the last couple of months, and I've been rewarded a few times. Celta Vigo, I mean, we know that. I mean, there's some stats here: 22 out of 35 games in La Liga over 2.5, 12 out of 17 away, the third most. I think only Barcelona, Valladolid matches have had more goals in them. And it's the way they play. They're a good watch, actually, Celta Vigo, really attacking style. And, recently, I mean, they have lost 3 of the last 5, but let's give them some slack. They've faced Barcelona away, 4-3, 3-2 loss at Real Madrid. That's not bad going, is it? Scoring 5 goals in those locations. They scored 3 goals against Villarreal. They've got goals in them.
Yeah.
Vigo. And, I mean, I think they'll win the game. I think Tino bet on Celta Vigo, it's plus 115 is very much worth a go here because Real Sociedad just look like I don't think there's anything left in their tank. They're just ready for the summer now. They really are. I think they've. I don't want to use the word on the beach or down tools. I don't think they've got another option. They're just not. They haven't got the reserves of energy to deliver the performances they need, they want. Which is a real
on fumes. I think some of these sides are also relying on players that will say in the veteran stage of their career. So when you're playing every 4 days, and in Spain as well, let's make no bones about it. It's playing in the heat and so on and so forth. That's a real tough ask to go over a long season and now look to try and go again at this stage so quickly with a quick turnaround. So I think that does play into it as well. But yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, we're definitely on the same page there. I think goals looks a real good angle in on this one.
You got a player prop for the game as well. Just going back to your player prop in the last game, I've just checked it. There was a comment. He's actually suspended.
Is he?
Yeah, I've just looked back. I've had delve deep here. It was a 10th yellow card. I think it's 10 yellows. I don't know what the rules are individually, but this is the predicted lineup now in midfield. We've got Solis and Arthur in midfield. I don't know if either of those would float your boat for the fouls market, Jack. But this is the problem with these quick turnarounds. You can sometimes get suspensions creep up on you.
I must admit,
anyway, anyone who took it would be a void bet.
The suspensions there, I think, are really strict, aren't they? When you've got this amount of cards, and at this stage, like in the Premier League, and that you're 15 and 20s at this stage, aren't you? So and the referee's a lot more card happy over there. So anyway, well, that means I've got a no bet on that game, so I'll take that.
But you do have a player prop for this game, and you are going with Kubo. Very exciting player.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, really good. Over 1.5 shots for me, a real simple one, so they don't have to be on target. They can go anywhere. 40 shots across the campaign so far. That's one every 53 minutes. But you drill down into the details of his output at home, and it's a lot better than that. 27 of those shots have come in home games. That's one every 45 minutes exactly. So that's all we need. One in each half does the business for us. When you look at his home form, he's had 2 or more in his last 5 starts, and he's had 2 or more in 8 of his last 11 starts on home soil. So for me, in a game where we do expect goals, we do expect plenty of shots and action, Kubo, for me, is the man. At a nice price for just 2 shots, I think or 2 or more shots, is a real nice angle in at minus 121.
He's suspended as well. No, he's not. Really. I'm only joking. I'm joking.
I was going to say.
I'm joking.
Don't do that to me. What have I done? I've had a right
There is a
today.
suspension for Celta Vigo. Marcus Alonso is suspended after his red card against Sevilla for this game. But Kubo, I do like him actually. He's really good, great balance to this player, and he does like to have a shot. Charlie's asking
If
what
you get sent off in the first 10 minutes, I'm blaming you, Steve.
Charlie's asking what websites do you recommend for injury news and predicted lineups? And do you know what?
Yeah,
it
please.
really depends. It varies for each league, really. And there's many unreliable sources out there these days. I don't know about you, Jack, but I find there's a lot of really poor, lazy journalism, which is actually starting to impact, say bettors who you don't know who to trust at times. I must admit. I feel like you almost need to sort of cross-check it with 3 sources these days. It's ridiculous. I don't know if there is a site that you would say just for England leagues perhaps would be a good one.
Well, there is for England one. There's one called EPL Injuries, which I use, which is very good as far as it lists all the suspensions and injuries, but they also effectively do the sound bites of the press conferences prior to the games. So let me just actually check that address for you. The one I tend to use, which hasn't been very successful today, is RotoWire, as far as they do the expected team news for most of the major leagues. I've had all the major leagues. So premierinjuries.com is the one I use for the Premier League. So it covers every single one. And you can also track the players on that as well. So you can basically say, if you're interested in Declan Rice and how he's getting on, you can track it and it will let you know updates on the key players.
I find the fantasy sites and those
they are good
in fantasy now. It's serious business, fantasy football. Premier League fantasy is massive. For those interested in the Scandinavian leagues, the Swedish and Norwegian fantasy sites are really good for that as well. Especially as a lot of the local news sources in Scandinavia and France as well, is so many paywalls these days for the local press, which is understandable. But if you want to get local team news for all of France, I'd be paying out 15 to 20 local sites. It's so it's you've got to look around. Fantasy ones generally tend to do quite well.
Obviously Twitter's quite good X is quite good as far as like team news. If you're following the teams, they'll obviously give you an update and normally report on the headline news from the press conferences a day or two before the games, aren't they? But you're right about the fantasy ones, because they're such massive business, and obviously it is all player related. They are excellent to get a handle on who's picking up, who's got an injury, who's close to suspension. They normally list who's close to suspension as well, don't you? So you can follow that.
Just looking at some of the comments here, Byron says Aspas to get 1 shot on target minus 106. Veteran player, of course. If he starts, that would be a really big price, to be fair.
Yeah.
And Rick the Bricks, Celta, and over 2.5 goals. That must pay well, actually. I'll have a look at that before we go. I reckon that'd be about plus 400, maybe something like that. Something along those lines. Pat Knox, are Ajax serious to take the Dutch title, or is just confirming Champions League enough? I mean, that's a really big title race now, isn't it? I think there's 1 or 2 games to go, and Ajax or PSV could be the champions. And would I consider Strasbourg this week? Do you know what, Pat? Seeing as you asked so nicely, I will put that in. I will make sure in the itinerary for Betting Weekly Extra Time this week that we discuss that game. I'll get James Easton's opinion on it as well, and Dan Roebuck's in addition, and we will have it as a point of order. That's the best I can do for you there, Pat. Make sure that is included in the slate. Celta moneyline and over 2.5 goals is plus 360. Thank you very much, producer Troy. I think that's I do like both to win and over 2.5 goals. That's a nice odds there. And some betting splits for the game. We've got 82% of the money on the money line is on Real Sociedad. 63% of the tickets on them. So the home side often do get money. 81% of the money's on the over. That's going. I mean, that I totally agree. I can totally see why that is the case. Someone was asking for splits on the Girona game. It was 97% of the money line was on Girona for this game. Night Fox by 59% of the money over under was over. And then finally for the there was a stat here which was interesting. The producer Troy gave me. Both teams to score. Yes, has hit in each of Celta Vigo's last 8 La Liga matches as an underdog. Music to your ears there, Jack, for sure.
Yes.
So, that is we're going to talk about Sevilla Las Palmas later. Now we're going to move into the championship playoff game. semi-final, second leg. Now, you were on the show on Friday, Jack, with Dan, and I thought it was a great breakdown that you gave. I do agree. I don't think there was any case to be made for Sunderland. They did deliver the win. I really enjoyed your corner angle in that game. Got on that, and I'm going to be getting on the corners again here, I think. Sunderland are plus 117 to win the second leg with benefits. Coventry have to win, otherwise they're out. Plus 185. Yeah. And the ties at plus 230. Over 2.5 goals at minus 107. Both teams score. Yes is very backable, or no, if you prefer the other way. Plenty of player props on the board as well. I mean, it was a funny game. Sunderland actually drifted now to plus 123. Coventry in at plus 175. In that, I don't want to say Sunderland were lucky because I think they had quite a good game plan, but Coventry did have the lion's share of the game. On another day, maybe if they took the first goal, a lot would have said Coventry were the better team, if you know where I'm coming from, Jack. So how do we now approach this second leg? Where's the best bets for it? Let's talk money line first and sort of Asian lines. What sort of angles have you got in there?
Well, I'd counter what you said there, Steve, with something I've said for much of my life, is that it's not necessarily how much you've got, it's what you do with it. And they certainly did more with the ball than what Coventry did over that period of time. 26% possession Sunderland had, but you're right, it was an absolutely perfect game plan away from home. I felt they set them up to counter-attack, and they did so, and they looked a real threat. So the big question now is, does Reggie Slabreese pretend this is an away game again? They've got the goal advantage. A tie, they'll snatch your hand off for. Obviously, a win they'd be delighted with, but they just need to get through this, avoid defeat, and they're at Wembley, and they've got a chance of getting promoted to the Premier League. So I think there's a good chance he'll go, well, it worked so well in the first leg. It is tougher when you're at home. You've got 40,000 supporters there screaming you on, cheering you on, but they all know the bigger picture as well. They just want a day out at Wembley. Obviously, with Newcastle winning that trophy earlier in the season, that's put a little bit of pressure on Sunderland to get something done this season as well. I think he might well set up as if he's playing away here, and it might be not probably quite as dramatic as that 26%, but I wouldn't be surprised to see like a 40-60% still, and he'll look to try and hit Coventry on the break. The one thing for me that screams out to me is back in Sunderland at, well, you just say it's just drifted a little bit, plus 120 when they don't need to win isn't my idea of fun. They might well do again, but I just don't think that when you're backing a side to do something they don't need to do, then that's a bit of an issue. Coventry, not great away from home. You're looking at them. They're very much a mid-table side as far as their road form is concerned. They sit 12th across the regular season on the road. So you can't put loads of faith in them going to Sunderland and getting a good result. But, and you know where I'm going to go with this, if you want a manager that's got history in the playoffs of going and losing a home leg and then turning it around in the away leg, Frank Lampard's your man, because obviously he went to Ellen Road famously, got the win there. As your lot of not let him forget that and how he celebrated it when they then obviously went and lost in the final. But for me, the tie leaps out. It's the outside of the three, but it's a result that certainly Sunderland would absolutely, as I said, they'd bite your hand off for right now. They'd take that all day long.
It don't even remind me of that night. That was one of the worst nights I've had as a Leeds fan since the Premier League, the original Premier League days. I was nearly in tears, genuinely. And that, you can't imagine me in tears, really, can you? But I nearly was that night. Absolutely devastating. But they asked the question, didn't they, to Frank Lampard in the interview? Oh, you've done it before. You did it against Leeds. I do actually think it's entirely different because Frank actually said it himself. They really were completely dominated by Leeds in that first leg, and they were a massive underdog. They're not favourites tonight, but I think they kind of were favoured for the tie in general by the media, at least the public. Yeah, so it's a slightly different dynamic. But he does have that in his pocket. He knows he can turn around a tie. Knight Foxbar, I think, to be fair, he was about the only one in chat last week who gave Sunderland any chance at all. I think are you a Sunderland fan, Knight Foxbar? I think you might be by the way you've said this. I mean, the one thing Sunderland have known they've been in the playoffs for ages. And the question was, could they turn it on like a tap? But they certainly were pretty prepared for the game. And, there's all sorts of shenanigans going on ahead of tonight. This long throw situation, I'm sure you've seen it, but the advertising hoardings have been coming close to the pitch to try and stop the Coventry long throw. Who is the guy who takes the long throw, Jack, for Coventry? Trying to think of his name, but they do have they're known for it, aren't they? So Sunderland are doing every little thing, it feels like, to try and get under Coventry's skin here. But you like the tie, don't you? You like the tie here?
Yeah, I think so. I think when it's the outside of the three, and you've got Sunderland would take it, as say, and it's not necessarily they're going to get it, but like I said, they're here, they're happy, they're happy to keep Coventry at arm's length. They're happy, I think, to sit deep. They're happy to go and play on a counter attack again. They defended superbly well last time out, and they've got those threats that Bellingham in the middle of the park, who's loads and loads of energy. Mayenda, as far as his threat on the counter attack, I thought it was exceptional on Friday. And again, I think they'll use those tools again here to look to try and say maybe a little bit of rope a dope, but certainly they'll be happy to keep it tight, keep it level, and that does them. That does them. So I say for the outsider of three, I think it could go either way. So the outsider of three, I'm happy to take on that basis anyway, and also especially when you're home side. Top six as far as their home form concerned across the regular campaign, and that only dropped a bit towards the end because they lost their last three in the regular season, when we've already talked about the fact that they'd kind of declared at that point in time and they didn't need anything else to happen. They were locked in fourth place. So yeah, I just think there's a lot to like about it.
Let's go on to some player props now. In one case here, going back to the well that you used on Friday, and you were into the score and assist market here, by the way. A Coventry player and a Sunderland player that you like in this market. What are you thinking?
I already mentioned Mayenda, so he's the guy that I like for Sunderland because I think of how they're going to play. I think he is their biggest threat on the counter attack. So at plus 205 to score or assist, this market I do like a lot at the moment. You've seen it on the Premier League show. I've thrown it out there an awful lot because it does just say cover those two bases. And so there's nothing worse than being on a goal scorer and seeing him like through and maybe just square it and get the assist. So you're covered on that. And if the price isn't that drastically different, then I like that. So he's the Sunderland player that I've gone with. I mentioned Rodoni on the show on Friday with Dan. Just been in sensational form across the season, the regular season, and that's obviously continued into the playoffs with the goal on Friday, Coventry's goal on Friday, the equaliser there. So just to reiterate the stats, really, I say he's just been a sensation for them. 10 goals, 12 assists across the campaign. That's 44 appearances for Coventry in the league. 7 goals, 5 assists in his last 14 appearances now, which is stunning work. At least 1 goal or assist in 11 of his last 14 appearances. So of those 14 appearances, just 3 games where he's not either provided an assist or scored a goal. So he's not stockpiling, scoring 2 or 3 or getting 2 or 3 goal involvements in a game and then doing nothing for 2 or 3 weeks. It's very, very consistent. It's very, very regular. And I like the fact that he's kind of been very symmetrical as far as his performances against Sunderland are concerned. I mentioned it on the show last time that he wasn't available for the league game at home for Coventry, but he's now played obviously on Friday, 3 shots, 1 on target and 1 goal. And that's exactly what he did in the league fixture, in the regular season fixture at the Stadium of Light at Sunderland, say in that regular campaign. 3 shots, 1 on target, 1 goal. So if you look across anything you want from there, I'll put forward, as I did on Friday, Rodoni to score or assist at plus 255. I think that's a brilliant price. He's plus 155 for over 2.5 shots again. He's minus 121 for a shot on target. And if you do want him just to score, plus 390, it's a big price. But I say I'm happier to take a little bit less on the fact that he's actually got more assists this season than he's got goals. 12 assists to 10 goals.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the most informed players in the whole league.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
Absolutely. It was a great play on Friday there. I want to go through some comments here. There's some really good comments, actually. Going back to Meninda Priar regarding the Real Sociedad player struggling in the heat. They want to try one of my sessions in the sauna. I was in the sauna today, actually, Meninda. Trying to recover from the weekend. Adam Seymour's got a couple of interesting plays. Coventry most shots on target and most corners at plus 650. Yeah. And in both halves, 50-1. We'll talk about corners in a minute.
Okay. But,
I mean, Duncan reckons the first goal is crucial tonight. Dean Blake reckons whoever wins these playoffs is certain to be bottom next season in the Premier League. There's going to be a lot of people betting on the 3 that go up to go straight down again. Let's see what the transfer window brings in. About the long throw guy then, because he's another player that you did want to mention here, Jack, and that is Van Ivik. Is that how you pronounce him? Van Ewik?
I'll take your pronunciation. Milan Van Ewik. Yes, he did.
Cost them badly. I mean, that was a really bad mistake from him. So, do you think Frank will keep faith with him?
100%. I think he's been a great player for them this season. I watched him a couple of times. I watched him live as well, and he's got so much energy up and down that right-hand side. He gets in some real threatening positions. And I just threw this in there as, excuse the pun as far as the throw-ins are concerned, I threw this in there because anyone who wants a bit of a narrative, anyone who wants the kind of the redemption song, the headlines, so Milan Van Ewik was responsible for that late goal for Sunderland, which could ultimately stop Coventry going to Wembley, could ultimately stop them getting promoted into the Premier League. And you saw how much it meant to him. He was absolutely distraught at the end of that game. He was in tears, or near to tears, certainly. And you just feel that, he's a good player anyway. And he provided the assist on Friday for the goal for Rodoni. You just think that he's going to have even more motivation, even more desire to go and kind of right those wrongs, really, and look to do something positive in this game to get Coventry back in the tie or go on to win it. So he is +3. What is he? +3. I've lost it. Where has he gone? +340.
340, yeah.
Yeah, +340 to score or assist. And I say he's not prolific over the season, but I just think that extra motivation in this one, and he did provide the assist in the game on Friday. There is a bit of a headline there, a bit of a narrative, a redemption story for him, and you can see these sort of things happening in the players. If you believe in that kind of thing, then that's the angle there.
Yeah, and I think a long throw would count in as an assist. It can happen. It's more likely to just cause confusions with knock-ons and things like that. Looking at these pictures now of how closely they put in the advertising hordes, he's going to be struggling to get that long throw in the box, to be fair. But, as you said, he got the assist the other night from a cross. He can cross the ball pretty well.
Yeah. He's very advanced.
Exactly.
What I would say about the throw-ins is that, like I've seen this before, when like Roy Delap was there, they can knock them out of the way, but also they just take a run more down the line and kind of just curve it at the end, can't they, to throw it in? So I think you'll find a way.
There used to be a player in Norway who played for a team called Arlesund, and he had this long throw, and he used to do a somersault before he did the long throw. You might have seen it. It was incredible. Yeah. Never seen out like it, but it used to go a long, long way into the box. Quite an incredible long throw. So corners then, Jack. I mean, you were big on them on Friday, especially the Coventry side of things. I mean, I expect Regis Lebris to play as if he's away from home. He's been like that at FC Lorient down the years in France. I don't think they'll have 26% of the ball. I think they'll have probably in the 30s, surely, at home. But nevertheless, I think they'll be come under pressure. They don't mind to conceding these corners, it doesn't seem. And Coventry do stretch the game. I think only Leeds and Sheffield Wednesday had more corners on average per game throughout the whole championship season. So in that case, is Coventry over 5.5 corners? I'm very close to pulling this trigger here. Over 5.5 Coventry corners, -103. I'm even looking at maybe bringing the Stewish ladder out here. Based on what I was wondering on Friday, corners were raining corners for Coventry.
Yeah, I wondered if it would come out of the shed for this one. I certainly wouldn't put you off. The one thing I'd say is this game is very much dependent on match state, isn't it? Like if Coventry get a couple of goals, we suddenly rip up the script and we look again. So what I looked at here was actually Coventry most corners first half, which is +105, because obviously we know going into that Coventry are going to have to be on the front foot, and probably Sunderland are going to be looking to, as you say, sit deep and play on the counter-attack as if they're away from home. So we know that situation now. We don't know what's going to happen in the game at this moment in time. We can predict it, but we don't know it. So if Coventry get 2 goals to the good, we see a flip and that might well impact what we're looking at later, further down the line. I certainly wouldn't put you off the amount of corners, because you'd assume that they're going to be able to, have to get a fair few before the game stakes change too dramatically. But I like the first half corners here, plus 105, if you're going in on the corner angle. I saw a couple of really good shouts down there in the comments as well on this kind of angle. So
Yes.
Any I think someone commented on X today on one of the posts saying about the Coventry corner angle, and any positive Coventry spin on the corners, really I'd put that down as a play.
I think for them not to get 6 corners, they're going to have to go like 3-0 up very quickly, or be down to 10 men, or something strange, or the pattern of the game is going to have to change massively compared to the first leg. So for me, that looks a good bet, and that ladder to over 6.5 Coventry corners is plus 155, over 7.5 is plus 245. That looks very good for me for a ladder here. What am I missing? You know what I mean? Loads of stuff about the Coventry game there, and thanks for all the great comments about it as well, and several bets that we've been able to advise. One more match to discuss, then we're going to go back to the playoffs again, League 1, League 2. This is Sevilla, Las Palmas, and the big storyline here is actually around Sevilla, a massive club, of course, in Spain. They've had more Europa League wins in the last 10, 15 years. 4 times, is it? Something like that. Ridiculous. Yeah. But they're at risk of going down. They are at genuine risk of getting relegated from La Liga. They're plus 157. Sorry, minus 157. I'd certainly be backing them at plus 157. Minus 157 to win this game. They're in no form whatsoever. Las Palmas also, really struggling down there at the bottom. Sevilla players were forced to spend the night at their own training facility at the weekend because fans basically bombarded their exit. They're furious. Absolutely furious. That might sound extreme to a lot of viewers, but in the likes of Spain and Italy, if these big clubs, Valencia has been a case for this in recent years. If these big clubs don't perform to the level of expectation, the fans let them know about it. Whether is that going to bring a performance out of Sevilla, I do wonder. They've got Real Madrid to play still. And I think they've got Villarreal. Is it on the card as well?
They have. Yeah,
this is almost. A point's not terrible for Sevilla, but they need this win here. Are you going to back them at minus 157?
Again, no, I won't. I won't back them at that. Again, a side that pressure's on, that's ramped up. It could work either way, couldn't it? You could just get to the point where the fear comes into the players. No one wants to do anything which is going to be like positive and impactful. And Las Palmas come here as a big underdog. We saw them a couple of weeks ago. They put a couple of wins together, and you thought, are they going to suddenly kind of turn it around and get the great escape? They've now lost a couple on the spin, which would put you off going on them as well. But they're still within a shout. They're only 3 points from safety themselves. So I just feel that, I think that, again, neither side really is one that you want to be having too much faith in. But this is an absolutely monumental game for Sevilla, just for the reasons that you said there. With Madrid and Villarreal to come, this has got to be their one. This is kind of their, cup final, you want to call it, but this is their game they have to go and win. So, but that only makes the pressure higher. I think they will win, but I don't want to be backing them at minus 150.
I think they'll win as well, but I can't back them. Do you know what? If they were closer to evens, I think I'd be mighty tempted. Minus 110, minus 120 range, but minus 1.
I was going to say minus 120 for me. Minus 120 would be a go. Yeah, I think they'll nick a win in this one, but not at minus 150.
My angle on this game is the referee. There's been quite a controversial appointment here. Juan Martinez Munuera is the referee for the game. And Sevilla have incredibly gone 5 years without losing a game when he has officiated their fixtures. 13 matches 13 matches in total. There's been a bit of witch talk about have Sevilla been given a favor here by the Spanish officials? It wouldn't be good for La Liga to see a big club like them go down. Let's not lie. No. Let's not beat about the bush. I've often thought sometimes certain leagues do protect their big clubs. This is clearly severe sort of ref, isn't it? And I think from what I gather that Las Palmas, he's had some issues with Las Palmas as well in the past. So I don't think Las Palmas are very happy about this. Could that equate into trouble on the field? I mean, over 5.5 cards is minus 110. Red card, yes.
You know what I'm not going to look at straight away. Go on.
So that's what I was looking at. You know, it doesn't mean the cards are going to flow, but that is mightily suspicious. I mean, how on earth can a team go 13 games? A team like Sevilla, anyway. If it was like Real Madrid or Barcelona, I could almost understand it.
Yeah.
Go 13 matches unbeaten under the same referee. I've got to say,
Lee's on the same train of thought as me there. Sevilla to get a penalty. That's what I'm gone straight to look at. Penalty kick awarded is plus 200. Sevilla to score from a penalty is plus 500. I'd play both those on the basis that if Sevilla miss their penalty, you at least still make profit. So, split your stake across those two. Penalty kick awarded plus 200. Sevilla to score from a penalty plus 500.
And he does average, this referee, a penalty every 3 games in his career. He's actually officiated 219 La Liga games in his career. So he's a pretty experienced referee.
So it's not suspicious, is it? It's just what he does.
That's a great shot, actually. Penalty awarded and penalty to Sevilla as well. You like both teams score, yes, right?
I do, yeah, simply because of the fact that we've talked about here. I suggest this is a must-win game for both sides. I think you've got to win it as Las Palmas. I'll certainly go and try and win it. And Sevilla is a draw, possibly not the worst result, but come on, you've got to Las Palmas. Beat Las Palmas and kind of put this to bed. Those games coming up aren't pretty. So when you look at the stats as well, Sevilla, 7 of the last 8 on home soil have seen both teams to score. Las Palmas, 6 of the last 8 on the road have seen both teams to score. They've only kept 1 clean sheet on the road all season as well. And it's minus 109. I think that is a really, really good price for a Las Palmas side that have been swinging in recent weeks. Lost, the last couple, but I think, there's scope here for both teams to score absolutely at that price at minus 109. And I've got a producer Troy stat here. He's not come up with it yet, but I remember he does like to say these things about games, days of the week and so on. Sevilla have lost 1 of their last 30 domestic clashes held on a Tuesday. So even they've scheduled the game on a day that they like to play on. What is going on, La Liga?
That's ridiculous. 1 loss in 30 Tuesday appearances. That must go back a long time.
I haven't got the date.
That stretch of games. But someone's asking, would I play Sevilla if the price got to plus money in play? I mean, if I'm watching it, I suppose it would depend how I see them actually playing on the field. If they fall behind in the game, that is not an automatic bet because the crowd could get absolutely poisoned and toxic. I don't know how the crowd would respond. Would they? I hope Sevilla fans would get behind the players for the whole 90 minutes, and then at the end of the game, riot if they're not happy.
I'm not sure it works that way in Spain, does it? White hankies are going to be out and all sorts.
The first goal, if they get the first goal, it's a different place entirely. The place becomes a fortress. They'll be hanging on like a dog with a bone, sort of thing. It's a fascinating game, this one, Jack. I actually I did have both teams score down as a lean for it as well, actually. But there's someone that's at my door.
That's the both teams to score bell just gone off.
That's the bell for both teams to score, yes.
We're
going to move to the playoffs now again.
Okay.
And League One, League Two, Jack. First of all, on the outrights here, give me the 3 winners of the playoffs at this point in time.
Well, I'm going to stick my neck on the line and say Sheffield United in the Championship. I do think, look, they've been the better side all season. They were streets clear of 4th place. They ran Burnley and Leeds close there. They looked like they possibly were going to be winning the title or being automatic promotion, although they were top of the table on New Year's Day, I believe, and no side has then gone into the playoffs from that position and gone on to win it. So that's going against them, but I'll still take them. Things have to change at some point in time. So Sheffield United for me there. League One, I really like Charlton, plus 175 in that one. Really strong under Nathan Jones. And League Two, I'm going for AFC Wimbledon, the best defence in League Two. And I think they can keep Notts County at bay, and then whoever gets through between Walsall and Chesterfield in the final at Wembley. So that would be my pick in League Two.
Tomorrow, we've got Stockport, Leyton, Orient, and we will not be covering this match on the show. I've got Rory Barlow on with me, La Liga expert. So I thought we'll pick your brains now, Jack, on this match tomorrow. We've not actually got a graphic for it, the match specifically, but you do have a play for the game. In fact, actually, you've got 2 plays for this game, haven't you? You've got a goal scorer as well. Stockport, Leyton, Orient. What do you like tomorrow?
Mate, I'll rattle through it. We've been going 50 minutes, so I'll rattle through it. But I was going to mention Dave Chandler. Someone mentioned him in the comments because this is a long throw-in special today, and he was one of the best exponents of the long throw-in. His side do play quite direct in his style, to be fair. Great game, first leg, 2-2. That ridiculously contentious offside decision by about 5 yards. That was a part of the opening goal, and then a late penalty as well to get it set up at Desmond, and we go all square into the second leg. Leyton Orient likely to have a couple of players back, key players back. They came off the bench. Their fullbacks quite important to how they play, so we might see them starting in this one. They need their best side out. Stockport are very, very strong at home at Edgeley Park. 3rd best home record in League One in the regular season, only behind, so as far as points gained or wins concerned and goals scored on home soil, only the runaway winners of the league, Birmingham, can beat Stockport in that respect. So this will be tough for Leyton Orient, but they've been in good form. I like over 2.5 goals here at -110, and I think this has been priced up a little bit historically on the fact that Stockport were pretty tight, and their games are pretty tight in the early part of the season and the mid part of the season. In the latter stages, they have been a lot more open and featured goals. Their last 4 across all venues have seen over 2.5 goals cash. 7 of their last 9 across all venues have seen 2.5 goals cash. Their last 5 at home have seen 3 or more goals, and 7 of the last 8 at Edgeley Park have seen over 2.5 goals. And the Leyton Orient, very similar scenario. 6 of their last 7 across all venues over 2.5 goals. 6 of their last 6 on the road over 2.5 goals. 9 of the last 11 on the road have cashed for over 2.5 goals as well. So I fancy goals. It was open in the first leg. I think the second leg could follow suit. And in Charlie Kelman, the player you alluded to, Leyton Orient have got an absolute diamond there. He's on loan, but 23 goals in the League One campaign, and he ran hot right at the end of the season when it mattered. 11 goals in his last 10 starts for Leyton Orient. He scored in 5 of his last 7 matches. He got both goals in the first leg, and he's on penalties, as we saw when he scored that leveller late on there. Cool head, scored that as well. And on the road, he's very good as well. He scored 7 goals in his last 6 road trips.
All right, so quick picks here for the rest of the playoff games. No explanation needed. Yeah. Charlton versus Wycombe. Okay. What's the bet?
For this one, I'm going Charlton to win +118. They're just better. Wycombe, kind of scared. They're running scared in the first leg. They've been beat twice by Charlton in the regular season.
Walsall, Chesterfield. What are you going with there?
Walsall, Chesterfield. I'm going with Chesterfield +240. Walsall absolutely fell apart. No win in 13 until the last day of the season. They must be mentally frazzled because Bradford scored in the 96th minute to stop them getting an automatic place. And they looked like they were home and hosed at Christmas to win the title, let alone get promoted. So surprised they won the first leg. I think Chesterfield might come back and win this second one at +240.
Wimbledon, Notts County then, to round it off.
Love this bet. Yeah. And the main reason I will give you a bit of a quick explanation into it. Best defence in the league. I've already said this. But under 2.5 goals, you can see at -167. I'm going for both teams to score no, though, at -120. So the only one that we don't have onside there, if you were playing under 2.5 goals, is obviously the 1-1 draw. If you're playing both teams to score no at -120. And the reason being is Notts County relied on 2 men for their goals this season. 36 of their 56 goals come from Alassana Jatta and from David McGoldrick, 19 and 17 respectively. Jatta got sent off, so he is definitely out for this one in added on time. So he's suspended for this one. McGoldrick went off a couple of minutes prior to that with what looked like a muscular injury. He's 37 years old, McGoldrick, unlikely to be able to shake it off that quickly. So I think he'll be missing as well, or be very much limited movement as far as if he does start, if they patch him up. So with those 2 missing, and they're up against the best defence in the league, I think both teams to score no at -120 is a lock there.
And just go back to Charlton. I mean, you do like them to win the playoffs here for League One. We talked yesterday, Lewis Jones and me, about them looking like they're a strong contender. Nathan Jones, who's not got the greatest playoff record actually in his past, but there's something about this manager, isn't there? He does have quite a lot of pedigree. I think he's made 2 really poor decisions to move to Stoke, especially.
Yeah,
and then obviously Southampton didn't work out. But he's a good manager, isn't he? A massive real boost for Charlton to have someone of his ilk in the on the sideline.
A little bit of a divisive character, but he is a character, that is for certain. He comes out with some absolutely priceless quotes as well. But he was brilliant at Luton. No one makes the right move by going to Stoke, that is for certain. And I said, it didn't work out for him at Southampton. But he's been in the Premier League, albeit briefly. Championship, he's done pretty well there, but excellent when his time at Luton. And he's really aggressive. He loves his strikers to be pressing high. They look to win the ball back really high. They look to play that front foot, really aggressive style of play. And what happened in the first leg is Wickham tried to kind of take the risk out of that, and they went more direct into their front players, and it didn't really suit them, but it just meant they kind of cancelled each other out. And I think on home soil, I think Charlton will have too much for Wickham in this one. And I see him at plus money. I was very surprised to see him plus money to win. So for me, and then as you say, then go to Wembley, whoever they're playing, I'd make them the favourites there.
Yeah, plus 118 to win the second leg and plus 175 to win the League One playoffs. That's Charlton Athletic. That is all we've got time for today. There's loads of live streams you can watch. That Sunderland Coventry game, the La Liga matches. We've got ATP Tour in Rome and WTA, of course, as well. Just a quick, there are some golf specials on the house specials today. PGA Championship starts this week. One that definitely caught my eye there, Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy, both to finish in the top 5 at the PGA Championship, plus 400. That's a really interesting bet, I think, for those who do like their golf. But best of luck, whatever you are taking today in whatever sport. Real Brendan King's got a pick up there from the rink you might be interested in. But yeah, Jack, let's hope we can cash some winning tickets in the playoff game in the Liga. And tomorrow I'll be back with Rui Barlow to go through the rest of the La Liga card as well. There's a bit of Swedish action, the midweek Swedish round as well. But what's your best bet from today?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask that. Do you know what? I can't actually remember what I was going to say. So I'm going to go with Coventry first half corners, most first half corners at plus 105.
I think over 2.5 goals in that sort of Vigo game would be my best bet of the day. But good luck, whatever you're taking. Thanks very much, everyone who watched live or on demand. Thanks for the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you've not already. Coming up in an hour's time, Betting Weekly Tennis Live with Dustin Fox and Mitch Michaels. And we've got Betting Weekly Hardball, Betting Weekly Fast Break to round off the day as well. So stick with us today on this channel. But I'll be back tomorrow, as I said, with Rui Barlow. Gamble responsibly and take care, y'all.